Welcome to Student Athlete Interviews on Tuesday. We'll start today with sophomore offensive lineman Wanya Morris. If you have questions for Wanya, please hit the raise your hand function and we'll call on you. We'll start with Rick Russo and then we'll go to David Pascal.
Hey, Wanya, good afternoon. If you will, talk about the continued struggles on the offensive side, Wanya, especially coming out of the locker room at halftime into the third quarter.
That's something that we all talked about, of course, as a group, and something that we have to get better at is coming out of halftime, executing as a team. There's not much you can really say about that. It's just more of you have to put your head down and just work and regroup and get better.
Wanya, can you take us back to preseason camp with a lot of the COVID issues? There are a lot of teams right now that are dealing with it. Can you just talk about what that was like for you and the offensive line? And did it get frustrating that you never kind of had the same five out there?
It's definitely frustrating, but, you can't really complain about it because every team is going through the same thing we went through. And as O-line, you try to keep in touch as much as you can to keep that bond, because as an O-line, you have to play together. There's no individual there, because if one looks bad, we all look bad.
We'll go to Patrick Brown and David Oven.
Wanya, kind of following up on that, I think Coach Pruitt said you were in quarantine like two separate times. I think practice like one time in like several weeks. How challenging was that for you to have to sort of navigate that situation going into your sophomore season?
It was definitely challenging, being that we didn't even get the spring. Also, not being able to be out there with my teammates to get those reps. But definitely, I was staying on Zoom with the Zoom calls with Coach Fran, Coach Pruitt, just being in the team. He's being more involved than I can. Just trying to stay ahead while I can while I'm in quarantine. It was really just trying to stay ahead and not get behind. Like, try and stay where I'm at or get better.
You started you played in the season opener. Do you feel like you were behind going into the season, or how long do you think it took you to catch up after missing all that time?
I wouldn't say I was behind, but I definitely could have been better. My goal out there was just to get better every week, and so far that's what we've been doing. And I can't complain because it happens to everybody. I was just fortunate enough to be able to play the first game. Some people didn't play the first game,
David?
Wanya, when you did finally play, what was sort of the most difficult part of trying to get into, playing a game when you missed so much practice?
It's definitely the getting back in shape part. I mean, I'm staying on top of plays as much as I can. We're on Zoom and stuff like that, but there's nothing like getting those actual reps in practice, and me not being in practice really hurt me a little bit, because practice makes perfect or practice makes permanent. So just being able to, missing those games is really, not games, but practices really were detrimental, but we're working towards a better goal right now.
And how would you assess the offensive line's play as a whole this season?
We get better and better every week. There's things we could do better, obviously, but yeah, we're getting better and better every week.
Jimmy Himes, then Gustavo.
Wanya, how do you feel like you guys are doing in pass protection?
I feel like we're doing a pretty good job. We trust our quarterbacks to get the ball out. So, man, I'll be the first to say if something happens, it's our fault, because we're a cornerstone of this offense, and we'll take the blame because that's what we do. As O-lineman, you're used to carrying things on your shoulders.
And you were asked earlier about the second halves, and I wonder from your perspective, what can Tennessee do when another team seizes the momentum in the second half? How do you counter that?
Really, you just got to continue to practice, listen to coaches. Hey, they know what they're talking about. They've been in a situation before. We just got to listen to them, and we just got to execute. There's no other question to it. Execution is a big part of this game, and be explosive.
Wanya, despite all the COVID issues, I know there's been hit hard on you. How do you compare the O-line on your freshman year compared to this year, and yourself compared to last year to this year?
The O-line, I definitely say we're closer than we were last year. I mean, even though last year we didn't have the circumstances that we have, I just feel like that brought us closer together because we knew we would have to have that bond that everybody had to be on the same page. And for me, I feel like I'm way more mature than I was last year. You know, I have a more understanding of the game, and I'm actually like knowing what I need to get better at. And I'm not just out there playing, not trying to mess up. It's more of a go get it mentality.
Brent Hogs and Teresa Walker.
One, you mentioned execution a couple of different times in terms of the second half. I wonder, are you guys seeing different things from defenses in the second half? Did Arkansas defend the run differently in the second half than how they played it in the first half?
I mean, a little bit, but it all comes back to execution. It's just knowing who you got, knowing the right guy to be on, fit up, and just being more tough than the team. You know, execution is a big thing that we preach over here, and we just have to get it right.
Did they surprise you with some of the stuff they did in the second half in terms of adjustments?
Now, I'm not going to really say surprised, but it was unexpected a little bit. But, hey, we just got to do our best to adjust. That's something we got to do better on our part, is adjusting to that.
And Wanya, with this team stuck in a 4-game skid, now you've got number 5 Texas A&M coming in on Saturday. What's the challenge in trying to, not only get off to a good start, but try to finish off a game and snap this skid right now?
After the disappointing loss, everybody in there ready to come to work. We came in here Sunday saying, what we're going to do about it? We got to change it. We got to change something. Like, we have to go out there, execute, finish. Like, practice this week is gonna be a practice. Like, I expect everybody to come on their top game, especially me. If I'm lacking, somebody tell me. If somebody else lacking, tell them. We have to be on each other constantly and just constantly get each other better. That's the goal this week. Get each other better so we can go out there and execute on Saturday.
Austin Price, then back to Jimmy Himes.
Wanya, how much of, going back a year ago, did you have to come in? I mean, when you're big time in high school, you practice at a certain way, but then when you get to college, you have to learn to work a different way off the field. How much have you grown in that regard? And can you notice the difference between maybe how you worked as a freshman and now how you work as a sophomore?
Definitely. As a freshman, I came in here like knowing I would have to work, but not knowing how much. But this year I understood, like, it was time is ticking, and no, time isn't going to wait for you, and neither is nobody else. So while I'm over there sitting down, somebody else is working. So I just learned to get extra reps at practice, after practice, get in the weight room more. And I just look at it with a different perspective, like it's the game. We got to go into practice thinking, okay, this is going to happen in the game. So let me get my body used to these movements,
Wanya, a year ago, Tennessee had a tough start, but you rallied to win 6 games in a row at the end of the season. I wonder, do you see any similarities between what happened last year and where this team is right now?
Definitely not. No team is the same. We're a different team than we were a year ago. But rallying for these last 4 or 5 games, whatever it is, we got to put our head down and work. And I think that's understood throughout the whole team. What we did last year was last year. It's a new year. We're looking for these last 4 or 5 games to just go out there, execute, and finish strong.
When you lose 4 in a row, does that hurt your confidence any?
Oh, no, we're not discouraged at all. Like I said before, we're going to go out there, put our head down and work. That's all we can do. We can look forward. It's always the next game. We got to go 1-0 each week. That's how I feel.
Patrick Brown, then back to Austin Price.
Wanya, what has impressed you most in what you've seen out of Harrison Bailey, and kind of what did you see from him in the moment on Saturday night when he came in midway through the fourth quarter? You guys down 11, needed a drive. What did you see from him in that moment?
what impressed me the most is that they called his number and he was ready. I mean, I support all of our quarterbacks equally. Hey, whoever's back there, we're gonna protect them like anybody else, like they're our mom back there. Just impressed that he came out there to do what he had to do. That's what's expected.
Wanya, Jimmy referenced the winning streak at the end of last season. So much of that was driven by what was then a freshman class. You guys are now sophomores. Eric Gray, Henry, yourself, Morris, Darnell. Do you feel like your group, because of this kind of the expectations it shouldered last year, needs to assume more of a leadership role, even though you're just sophomores? And how do you do that?
That's actually an interesting question. I feel like that everybody's a leader on this team. Everybody has a say because everybody puts an input on this team. So it doesn't matter if it's just us as sophomores, others as freshmen, others as juniors or seniors. Everybody has this role on this team and is expected to speak up and get on somebody if they have to, or just step up and just talk to the team if they have to. Everyone's expected to be a leader.
All right. Any other questions for Wanya? All right. Thank you, Wanya.